Default exception handling. The present video I'm discussing about is default exception handling. Yes, coming back to this default exception handling. So instead of directly going through this exception handling, I am coming directly to this default exception handling so that one can easily understand what actually exception handling is and how it works and what are the uses and where we implement and all this stuff. These things can be better understood by this video and observing this thing. So directly I'll take an example and I will try to execute it so that one can understand easily. And here comes my example. I created a class with the name test exception, and there I had a regular thing, public static void main, and I had two methods, call1 and call2. Now what is actually happening with this exception handling? So I'm not using any sort of exception criteria things like try catch or whatever it be. I'm just trying to explain what actually happens with exception handling by default in Java. And here comes. Firstly, my string program, my main program, it is actually calling a method call1. So call1. What is this actually doing? This call1 is actually calling call2 and call2 method. This again is trying to print a value of integers 10 and 0 division, that is 10 by 0, which is actually not defined in real terms. We can't divide anything by 0. Hence 10 by 0 has to raise an exception by default. And how this is actually happening, let's see. So how execution starts? Execution first starts from here, and it as the main thread goes on, it will trace for a main function, and hence it goes for call1 and further call2, and then and comes to this call2. What happens here? Whenever there is an exception raised, JVM actually comes to this function call2. It comes to this function and try to see what is actually happening, just as a policeman coming to the accident situation. So JVM comes here and checks what is actually happening, 10 by 0. So it realizes that there is a exception created here. So and hence he'll try to find the exception code. I mean, JVM tries to find if we the programmer have declared any, I mean, we wrote any exception code for this, and hence it will try to find in this particular function public static void call. As I have not written any sort of uh, exceptional code, it will terminate this function call and it will go to the called function. Here call1 is actually the function which is responsible in calling 2, and this JVM will check for the exception handling code in call1, but still call1 didn't does not have any sort of exceptional code. And again this again goes to main function still doesn't have any sort of codes. So what is actually happening is that JVM is responsible coming to the caller method and then calling method, and then it goes on till the main function. And from the main function, if it still doesn't find any exception handling code, this will terminate the entire program. And and uh, and what actually happens is that it gives this exception. So by default, whenever we whenever a exception is created, if there is no exception code in the entire program, the JVM will take this code, I mean take this exception and gives it to default exception handler. There is a component called default exception handler in Java. So what this default exception handler does is that it will just display that exception, I mean where the exception has actually been created, and it provides the stack trace. Now what is actually the stack trace? Stack trace is a simple mechanism where the method calls and all the things that are done in the as a part of Java programming, I mean as a part of execution, is stored Java trace. So let me execute this thing and I'll make it clear how this is actually working. I'm saving this. Okay, and I'm opening this one. Okay, java c space test exception dot java. Now it compiled fine. 10 by 0 is an arithmetic exception, so as part of java program, as a part of println function which has to only check the arguments, it doesn't care about what is actually happening to the argument. So this is actually runtime error, hence there won't be any compile time errors. Now I'm trying to run this. Now check out exception in the thread main java.lang.arithmetic exception division by 0. So what it says is that a main thread has started executed and found an exception, that is arithmetic exception, which is there in the lang package, and this arithmetic exception is division by 0. And see, it will try to produce the stack trace. As I told, stack trace is where the everything execution happening in java. So what is actually happening is the stack trace. Now stack trace, though, as I told, the exception is actually created in the call to function. Now that's the same thing at test exception dot call to. Test exception is the class, so test exception dot call to is the function exactly where the exception is created. Now this thing will go to the its caller method, which is call one here. So now again the JVM finds for the exception code in the call one method, and now from the call one method it has to go to main, and again test exception dot main. The corresponding class still didn't find any sort of exception, and hence it raises this exception, that is arithmetic exception. This exception is been produced by default exception handler, which is a component of java. Hope you all understood what is actually happening with default java exception handling, and we'll try to emulate more about exception handling in my further videos. Thank you.